thank you for being with us this evening. I know it's late, so thank you for bringing your curiosity to us as well. Today, I thought I talked about something that has gone a little bit beyond the hype word and the buzzword and is moved beyond POCs, and mainly what I'm talking about is enterprise AI, and with a little bit flavor of Gen AI and agentic AI in it, and how we are using it to now empower enterprise to make decisions, to help us be more innovative and also help us automate our workflows. So just a little bit of where we started and where we are now. Traditionally, organizations started with isolated individual machine learning projects trying to address one specific problems. Whereas now we are moving to an ecosystem of the AI project, ecosystem of AI within enterprise, which can be combination of different AI applications, accessing data, automating workflows for us, assisting our decision makings, becoming autonomous sometimes to make decisions for us as well. So we are moving toward more of an ecosystem of AI, which it has multiple benefits for us, but also bring in challenges, which I'm sure a lot of you might be facing as well. And some of these challenges are around how are we integrating it in our data systems, how are we connecting it to our other applications, which I will touch on in some of the next few slides later on. But basically, just to little bit touch on this one as well. When we are talking about ecosystem of AI, we're not talking only about Gen AI or agentic AI, or we're not separating any of those. We have to think about this as a combination of different models, like how an agentic AI is just a brain, LLM brain, that is not just about using a chatbot to give you an answer, but also make decision in helping and getting some outcomes from something very similar to a traditional machine learning to allows us to do what we want to do in our ecosystem and enabling different applications to interact with each other. So that would be one of the important factors that we have to keep in mind. Now, I just wanted to illustrate it for you in an example about what does it mean to have an enterprise AI ecosystem in a retail component. Think about it that traditionally it might have been just a machine learning model that predict forecast for a particular department. But now if we are putting it in an enterprise AI ecosystem, it means that we can demand forecast, can feed inventory, and then also it can help with the price optimization while our chatbots are talking to customers and understand customer behavior. And it's not only one machine learning model doing one thing, but it's just the interactions between them. But that's one element of it. Another important element of that would be we should be able to put these applications in the hands of lines of business and then people who are working in that enterprise, while the machine learning and data scientists are sitting at the back and developing applications so they can easily use it and utilize it to be able to take advantage during the workflow optimization or decision makings. So that is where an example of how enterprise and ecosystem and means can look like. But one of the reasons, actually, I was listening to a talk yesterday, and it was saying that one of the reasons that when new technologies come and go, and some of them go through this hype cycle and they don't pass the hype cycle. Some of them pass the hype cycle and they become successful, right? They get used more often. And one of the reasons that perhaps generative AI and AI is becoming more successful and passing this hype cycle and is not a buzzword anymore, and kind of we have to accept it, is it's more democratized than anything else. For example, everyone can use it. You can pick it up and use it in your Google Map. You can use ChatGPT for it. Your Netflix is actually AI in it. And what I always used to tell people is that we always had AI applications for many years in your TomToms, if you remember them, or in many of the other applications. But what is changing about it is that its user interface is changing, is more accessible with other people, is getting more democratized. And what is the winning factor about AI is that democratization of it. So as we are implementing it in our enterprise, we have to think about how we are democratizing it, and it's not within the hands of only a specific group that can develop that. So we need to think about, depending on different literacies and different groups have, and then what they need to do about, what they want to do about it, how they can utilize it. So this is the graph that is explaining how it was previously on a specialized people application, but now we want to make sure that we can allow innovation, creativity, and efficiency by allowing other people, depending on the skill set and the level and how they need to interact with it, have the capability to interact with it. And there was a paper published by a governance research group in Oxford University that tried to explain what does democratization of AI means, because it can have different meanings. And they categorized it to 4. I thought 3 of it is relevant for what we are talking about within the enterprise ecosystem. One of them is democratization of AI use. The other one is democratization of AI development, and then democratization of AI governance. And the 4th one that I'm not bringing up here, but I mean, it's useful when you're thinking about a society level, is democratization of AI profits, which is talking more about how different level of different societies and different groups can benefit from having access to AI. But within the enterprise topic, I thought these things are more relevant. Democratization of AI use, as you can see, is more about everyone, as I mentioned, within different levels of AI literacy can have access to what they need, if you are a developer, to be able to developing tools, if you are someone who is like from a customer service management, have the enough capabilities to be able to use that. However, it comes as a risk with it too, and it's about having enough training for people to know how they have to use it. Democratization of the AI governance, I will cover that first because I want to go to the development part as a last. And governance is a very important part, and this is something that it's very new to this topic, and as we are growing in this area, then there's no set standards. As we are growing this area, it's becoming more and more clear about what organizations have to do. For different industries, it's very different. So, for example, what happens in healthcare and finance is very different from what happens in, I don't know, another industry like a product development of like a consumer goods. And we have to think about how does it impact workflows, how does it impact everything that we are touching on, and be aligned with other regulations that is changing every day as well. But there must be a risk balance factor, and that's something that I think everyone, it's depending on their risk appetite, they will have to think about it, how we are enabling, not only also based on how we are developing our governance, we are benefiting only one part of our organization or one group too. What is coming next is the democratization of AI development, and basically it talks about allowing different people or different AI citizens to have access to enough technology and development capability to be able to innovate and to be able to use that to develop something. And that is going to be a very important factor in organizations if they really need to be able to think about democratization of AI in there. What we need to provide for that would be things such as to ensure availability of AI foundational models, availability of the development tools, having user interfaces for people to be able to do that, and most importantly, being able to give people blueprints and capabilities so they can start developing these AI applications, such as like agentic AIs, and with the right governance, of course, in place, because without that, there is a risk of basically, which I will cover the key challenges in a minute, but the risk of having unable to control cost and etc. Around it. Just trying to see if I forgot anything that I wanted to mention. No. So, what are the key challenges that we think that we have to definitely consider when we are talking about democratizing AI in the user in the enterprise? I want to start with data readiness, because it's not only about generative AI or agentic AI, any AI application, we have to make sure it has the good data. But now we are more moving toward an AI ecosystem and more toward an agentic AI. Is becoming even more complicated because now we have to give access to our data, bigger databases. We have to give access to various ones at the same time, perhaps. So, and I don't know, depending on where the people have legacy systems, are they still on cloud or on premises, and etc. So that data readiness is becoming very, very important. The other aspect that is very big key challenge is integration complexity. You want to develop applications that they can interact with each other, they can connect, they can make a decision or can assist you in making a decision. It means that you have to connect it to different applications that you have to a SaaS software, to a different soft platform. But how complex would that be based on your architecture and your enterprise platforms that you have? That can be a very big challenge. Another one that perhaps people don't think about it much is the intellectual property. It's about what you are generating when you're using these agents and applications, and how you can address that. And there is a very evolving topic around this actually happening about what is the, if something is generated by AI, who owns the intellectual property, what do we do with it, and etc. And then cost and performance management. Cost management is very important. It can spiral about a lot. I'm sure you have heard a lot about it, so, but something to definitely keep in mind. And innovation relevance. I find that very interesting because, I don't know, every day you wake up, there's something new happening within the world of AI. There was a company startup that started developing PDF reading for GPT. It was whole built around that. And then a few months later, OpenAI came up with that. So it was not relevant anymore. So whatever you're developing, it's going to be very important to stay on top of the curve, making sure that you are really following what needs to happen with the advances, and does it make sense to develop it or not, have a look at understanding of industry, and etc. Around that part. Something that is very important around any AI application, and not only, doesn't matter is it sitting in isolated or as an AI ecosystem, is explainability and accountability and transparency. Especially as this within the ecosystem, we want to allow different applications to connect to different data sets and be able to assist with decision making. That is becoming more apparent and important, something that has to be keeping in mind up. And then governance and compliance, and that's what I touched on in the previous slide too. It is hard. It's one of the challenges, and I think this is, as we are moving away from the era of only doing POCs, and now to organization trying to now implement it, operationalize it, they find that operationalizing it is actually is harder than trying to just prove that it works. And one of the aspects that makes it hard is around governance and understanding the risk and how we make that applicable and how do we actually operationalize that depending on the appetite that one has. Something that it might be varying from one organization to another, but it's a definitely evolving area around these topics. So, again, just keeping an eye on the time as well. Looking at the summary of it, it's very valuable for us, our organization. It allows innovation and help with increasing efficiency and productivity and everything else. However, we have to make sure that we are looking at whatever we have in terms of data privacy and our governance risk very carefully. And I think this would be what's coming in the future, something that we really can't avoid it. And I'm sure you're going to hear from the next speakers about how we can learn from cloud, right? That's me. Brilliant.